in next year, 6 months?
Mr. Chair, I can't speak on behalf of the audit office. We have to discharge our responsibilities, which we did,
Absolutely.
and the audit office is to now deal with the rest.
Absolutely, Minister. That's why I requested that if the audited reports are not available, if we could have access to information with regards to how and where the equipment is located.
Mr. Chairman, I see no difficulty with that. I did indicate that we have an inventory of all the spares and equipment that were purchased in the previous years of where they deployed.
The question is, can it be made available? And if so, when?
We have no difficulty with providing that, sir.
When?
I guess it will have to be sometime after tomorrow, once the staff get that completed.
Thank you very much.
I recommend Honorable Member Mr. Nagamutu.
Chairman, the question is that the government haven't been aware of the opposition's concern with regards to MCM and GINA, the use of taxpayers' money to fund these entities for partisan political purposes. Why hasn't the government de-linked these line items, since we could not propose or initiate cuts due to the ruling by the Honorable Chief Justice? The question is, the line item has been dealt with before, 34000700 and 4502100. The question I said the question is that the government is aware that we have problems with the use of taxpayers' money, entities used for partisan political purposes, hostile political purposes on these state entities. And they have refused to democratize them, but instead they are bundled here with all the line items with which we have absolutely no problem. We have no problem voting for information communication technology and any of the other items. So that is the question here, Mr. Chairman, that you have initiated a tripartite committee. The government has withdrawn from that committee, at which committee subcommittee we hope that the government would initiate, in accordance to the Chan ruling, to initiate the delinking and perhaps propose amendment. And so that the government will answer to the Guyanese people why they have refused to link these
Please. Mr. Chairman, the honourable member said that the government had withdrawn from the talks. There's no such thing, sir. There is no such thing. In that you are well aware, sir, of the meeting held in your office and the agreements that were reached, which were honored in the breach the very following day by the members of the opposition, sir. The government did not withdraw from any consultations. It was actually shut out. We were shut out from So, Mr. Speaker, I cannot stand and listen to the honourable member misinform the Guyanese public on what transpired. The government was deliberately shut out by the opposition breaking the agreement we had on how we were to proceed.
Honourable Prime Minister, sir.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, further to what my chief whip would say, sir, I'd like to recall, sir, that the government participated in good faith in talking to make that adjustment to the old age pension. And when it was the turn of members of the opposition to honor a discussion that we had, they did it not. And I want to repeat my position that let them pass this budget, they owe something, and they pass this budget, and let us resume the 2012 talks after the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, you will recall, sir, that at your behest we established this special committee. The information information requested was given via email the following morning. You will recall, sir, that when you called the meeting for us to discuss some items that we were proposing to cut, the opposition turned up and the government did not turn up to that meeting. Mr. Chairman, it follows therefore that the opposition wanted to have these discussions and these matters settled.
That's right.
Unlike the government did not want it. They disrespected the Speaker's establishment of that committee.
If you indulge me, sir. The agreement we had is by 9 o'clock. Each day, said they didn't want to give us the whole list of areas they wanted cut because they didn't want the government to mobilize. That was the word that was used. So we agreed every day at 9 o'clock we would receive. But Mr. Speaker, I need 2 emails for you. You and I were in contact the very first morning about not receiving anything. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Nagamuti, it might be useful to you because I don't know if you've seen that. The Honorable Speaker sent out to Mr. Greenwich, Mr. Ramjitan, Ms. Amna Ali, Mr. Dr. Ashley Singh and myself, dated at 10:14 a.m., Thursday, April the 10th. Dear colleagues, in view of the fact there's been no submissions by the opposition regarding the estimates to be considered today, there will be no meeting of the subcommittee as previously anticipated. We will proceed with our sitting at 2 p.m. This was not cancelled. Having received no submissions and none of us did, we'll cancel the meeting. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, at 10:43 a.m. on Thursday, April the 10th, an email was received to me from Anna Ali, copy to Mr. David Granger, Rafael Trotman, Prakash Ramjitan. The subject of the email was proposed non-approval items. And it said the following. Dear Dale, no, non-approval items different than cutting and reducing, comrade. I forward herewith 4 areas which you may need for information. These, I guess, will come up for consideration at today's sitting. 1, specialty hospital. 2, Amerindian Development Fund. 3, community policing. And 4, institutional strengthening labor. All for information. Mr. Speaker, we had discussed the day before that issues that were 0, non-approval, that there wasn't any area for negotiation. If there were areas for cuts, that is reduction, these were areas there was room for discussion. This letter has no indication that we wish to talk to you about anything. All it says, this is for your information. So, Mr. Speaker, furthermore, on the day in question, Ms. Amna Ali and I spoke. We spoke after the email on the phone. And I said, Amna, we will not agree to the removal of these items. And I said to her, and I said to her again in this house, when you cut the Amerindian Development Fund, what will be the implication? What's involved in it? I spoke about these items. And she said, well, you know, that's what they're going to do. And I said, well, if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. I'm trying to convey to you, sir, that there was no approach by the AFC. The AFC did not come and speak to any member of the government that it was interested in talking about anything. So the discussion is between the two here. The AFC may have communicated to this side of the house, sir.
Honourable members, I wanted us to complete the consideration of these estimates. For me personally, it is unfortunate that discussions that took place in chambers and by mail could now form part of open discussions in national. But I guess this is what democracy has come to, and the people have a right to know. I recognize Mr. Greenwich, and then we will resume with the consideration of the estimates.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't hold the House up. I'd just like to say that my understanding was that the initiative you took to bring the parties together was an initiative intended to find consensus in circumstances that are very difficult. And I believe that the agreement, in fact, causing some concern over the terms under which we would give prior notification, was, in a sense, this was part of the effort to bridge a gap, because in fact there's no constitutional requirement or legal requirement to give notice to the government. The understanding was that notice would be given so that the government may give consideration. If you don't read the right standing order, you wouldn't get the right answer. But the point I'm making here, Mr. Speaker, is that as regards these matters, we understood that we would meet so as to determine whether, when there was not initial agreement, whether some common ground could be found. For example, where this side may propose not to support a particular item, whether the government, having understood the causes for non-support, would be willing to amend the item. For example, to ask for a lower amount, or for a larger amount, or a different amount. So it is unfortunate that we should stand on principle as regards time, and that a list that was sent would have been required to have a long treatise alongside it explaining the whys and wherefores. The basic principle was this: when on the first day the motion threatened to delay consideration of the estimates, the government found themselves at a meeting. When, Mr. Speaker, they were fearful that Gaisuko, the request for Gaisuko's funds would be cut, they found themselves at the meeting. 4 hours notice. But when it came to the Amerindian vote, because they saw it as a propaganda item, and because they had already gotten information and went off and mobilized the whole set of Amerindians, money voted by this House that were not intended to be used for such political purposes, they didn't have a difficulty. Mr. Chairman, I think it is a sad day we've arrived at, because there are many issues here that could be resolved if the other side showed good faith. And that is what is at issue with us here, nothing else. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chair, I still think we have a...
I noticed your Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much for yours. I note, of course, your admonition that we proceed forthwith with the estimates, and it's not my intention to detain the committee unduly, except to say this, that from the very first meeting that was held, convened indeed, the government side made it very clear that a meaningful discussion could only be had if we were provided with an exhaustive list of the areas of concern identified by the opposition, allowing of course, sir, for idiosyncratic issues to arise from time to time as we proceeded with this. For the public record and for the record of this House, that to date, we have not been provided with, and to the best of my knowledge, the opposition has not produced an exhaustive list of the areas of concern. And I wish to register again that it is impossible to have a meaningful and sensible discussion and identify areas for compromise if one does not even know what the areas of concerns are. You cannot ask us, the opposition, sir, cannot ask us to compromise on areas which have not even been identified as yet. And in the absence of a list, an exhaustive list, sir, there is no basis for a discussion. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, I am bringing this to an end now. I am proceeding with the estimates. There's a question on the floor. I am pleased with respect to Ms. Ali, and you're not proceeding with this.
Mr. Chairman, let me indicate to the House in response to this without urging. These estimates,
No, Mr. Nagmutu has not put a question on the estimates. If it goes back to an opening up of this debate, I will not allow. Mr. Nagmutu made a statement,
but he referred to 2 line items, sir.
but he...
And I want to report to those 2 line
He
items.
didn't ask any question. He referred to
Yes, he
them.
asked the question, sir.
This is what.
He asked the question, why didn't we disaggregate it from
Because...
the estimates? And I'm about to answer that, sir. I'm about to say that the budget has been presented this year in the same fashion and in the same form like any other year. There's been no sleight of hands here. There's been no sleight of hands here trying to write anything anywhere.
Mr. Chairman, under the line item 1200 ICT, could the Honorable Minister state whether the sum here required will see the completion of this project? And if so, when could we expect this project to be completed?
Good question. Mr. Chairman, the sum sought here is to bring the ICT program to some semblance of completion, and we hope to do so by the end of July. And I think that's the information that I'll give this time.
Mr. Speaker, also the Honorable Minister indicate what he means by some semblance. The project information states that the installation and commissioning of the wireless and terrestrial network system. My understanding of that is that this is going to bring it to an end and commission it. So he must explain what does he mean by some semblance of completion.
There are 54 sites that are being worked on, and we anticipate that these 54 sites will be completed by the end of July, and the money being sought is to bring that to its final completion.
Are you required, you're saying please Mr. Minister, that at the end of July that this project will be completed and that you are not likely to be coming back to this National Assembly for any money?
All things being equal, yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, based upon our planning and our projection, the money being sought is to bring to completion the 54 towers that are being set up by the end of July.
Mr. Speaker, sorry, but this project is not about setting up 54 towers. This is a project that entails bringing a cable from Brazil, setting up towers, setting up several other facilities to complete a project. So I'm asking the Minister to indicate whether the project will be complete, not 54 towers setting up. This is not what the project document says.
Mr. Chairman, it will be good if the honorable members of this assembly appreciate the magnitude of this program. But one of the things that is being sought for in the monies allocated here is for the purchase and installation of servers and software for what is called cloud computing. Cloud computing allows for the various government agencies to pool resources of servers while maintaining a desired level of autonomy. In the first phase of the project, the e-government data center will provide a cloud computing paradigm called infrastructure as a service. This allows for all agencies to utilize a unified set of infrastructure that can handle a diverse set of protocols and technology while lowering the cost for individual agencies. So while we may be able to have everything in terms of the hardware set up, this objective, as I say, some semblance needs to be troubleshooted before.
Mr. Speaker, it is public knowledge that this project has gone over time. It is well beyond the completion date, and my understanding is that it is also cost overruns involved. Could the Honorable Minister state what equipment will be purchased and at what price?
Mr. Chairman, 1.3
million, $1.3 billion, sorry, will be expended on the port, which will be first of all interim and final payments for the construction of the long-term evolution site. Secondly, there will be the purchase and installation of servers and software for cloud computing. And thirdly, purchase of the LTE base station analyzers and microwave spectrum analyzers. Those three are estimated at $1.3 billion, and the remainder of the money is for the one laptop per family program, and it's to purchase the third batch of laptops with the whole LPF program.
So the description purchase of equipment includes not a complete description of what you're going to do here. Because you're using $1.3 billion to make a final payment, that's not purchase of equipment as I understand it. And software.
The project profile indicates three things.
Yes.
Purchase of one laptop family computers, $2,045,901. That's the purchase of the third batch of computers. The $1.3 billion is for the final payment, interim and final payment for the construction of the site, the purchase and the installation of the servers and software for cloud computing, and the purchase of the LTE base station analyzers and the microwave spectrum analyzers.
Yeah, sorry to prolong this, Lisa, but I asked you for the equipment that you had purchased and at what price. That was the question.
The equipment,
The equipment that you had purchased, you have purchased an equipment. What equipment will you purchase and at what price?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know specifically what the honorable member is seeking because I just read out what is being purchased and the price.
Mr. Speaker, I just want a very simple answer. You're purchasing computing equipment is going to cost so much money. This is what I'm asking you for. But you're mixing up things. I'm asking you to be very specific about what equipment you're purchasing and put alongside it what price you're paying for it. That's all, only equipment.
Mr. Chairman, if the honorable member would like to have a spreadsheet and a breakdown of all of the particular items that constitute a block, we can provide that.
Yeah.
And if that is the way, I'll accept it, please, Mr. Speaker. But usually I know the government likes to put these things on record. But I'll accept this spreadsheet.
Thank you very much. Other members, I believe Ms. Ferguson will take your last question and I put the question.
Mr. Speaker, I have my microphone says before this question.
Well, I can tell you it's now showing up. Sorry. It's now showing up. Ms. Ferguson?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I can recall in the honorable member's speech, that's Dr. Ashim Singh's speech, he said that 100 hubs will be commissioned. So my question to the honorable Junior Finance Minister, can you say from this allocation whether there's any provision for the construction of these 100 hubs, and if so, the amount? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I believe we've already dealt with the construction of the 100 hubs in the various villages when we dealt with the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs capital program. This money that is being sought is for the postal program that provides the connectivity from Wilson Creek all the way through to Anna.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, for the Junior Minister of Finance, line item 1212000. Could the minister kindly indicate how many laptops will be purchased and which areas are earmarked to receive laptops?
Mr. Chair, the quantity will be determined through the tendering process. This is the money that is available to us. We will have to go out to tender like This is a procedure, and the quantity will be determined based upon the unit price when tenders will have submitted their tenders. And just to remind us, this money for the purchase of the laptop is as a result of the grant aid that we're getting from China.
Is there a list of the areas you would like to target for this year with the one laptop?
Well, Mr. Chair, obviously, it's well public knowledge that we're building 100 hubs in various Amerindian villages, and that's one of the areas that will be given laptops this year, and then we will continue distribution throughout the rest of the country. But with the hubs, the proposal not being included, I don't know, there would have to be some reprioritizing.
Mr. Chair, I asked which areas, and if they're going to the Amerindian villages.
One of the areas.
I don't know of an Amerindian village in the country that named various Amerindian villages. I asked which areas will be targeted. Do you have a list? That's what I asked. Do you have a list?
Mr. Chairman, the One Laptop for Family program, it's not a new program that is being instituted. And from the very inception, this program was designed to ensure that 90,000 families who could not have afforded to purchase their own laptops have access to a laptop. And this was not restricted to Georgetown, or just it was for the entire country. Over 34,000 have already been distributed. We are going now, there are some in stock, and distribution is to continue throughout the country. What we have indicated, and what the honorable member is referring to, we were moving the distribution of the One Laptop for Family program to 100 Amerindian villages. We couldn't just give the people the laptops and they don't have the accessibility to operate them. So we were building the hubs, putting in the electricity infrastructure for them to be able to operate in 100 villages that have already been determined by the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, and we are continuing distribution throughout the entire country.
Mr. Chair, it's unfortunate that the Junior Minister of Finance could not answer that part of the question. So I move on to like item 605. In the project description, number 3, it speaks to provision for the strengthening of regional disaster risk management capacity. Could the minister kindly indicate how much of this $24 million will go towards the disaster risk management program for the region, and could he indicate which region will be targeted?
Information of members of the opposition, there is no such post as junior minister. There are ministers within the ministry, and that existed under Mr. Burnham and Mr. Hoyt's administration, and so there are no junior ministers, there are ministers within.
Thank you. I think because I myself always believed that they were senior.
If we could get back to the question.
More elderly
If I could respond to the honorable member concern and question that was raised, I'm sure that the 100 Amerindian villages that will benefit in the first phase